All right, guys, we should be live. Can you guys hear me?
Yo, yo.
I can hear you.
All right, perfect. Hopefully the stream can hear me. But anyway, my name is Big Moran. I'm joined here today by Phobia of Team Starter, and we're doing some Twink Cup team leader interviews. And so joining us right now is Muskie Bad, the leader of Team Ozymandias. So Muskie Bad, how's it going?
Good, man. We just finished up with the arena tournament, which was a lot of fun and turned out pretty damn hype. A pretty good lead-in for tomorrow as well.
Yeah, I mean, definitely exciting. I think the tournament, the arena tournament, it's like the perfect amount of hype. It's not too hyped. It's not underhyped. It's just like the perfect amount to get into the
Pre-drink.
games.
It's the pre-drink before you go out and get smashed.
That's right. Phobia, what did you think of the tournament? Some members from your team did very well. So what do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, we had not only Snug's team, but also Fail's team. They're both from the 20 bracket. They're both in the guild, and I'm really happy about how it turned out. I
Members from
think
your team did very well.
these
What do you
20s
think
showed
about
us 19s that they are not a joke and that they can play just as well, if not better than us. So congratulations to them and their 500 Aussie dollars. A little bit jealous, but
All right, and let me just make sure. Do you guys know if the stream is working? Someone's like trolling me. I think
Yeah,
someone's trying
it's working.
Okay, someone's like
It's
trying to
good.
troll me and like Chad saying like Mike's muted. Freaking out a bit.
yeah,
Anyway,
that sounds good.
Here we're gonna get into the juicy Twink Cup questions. Actually, don't really have that many juicy questions, but I wanted to ask you first of all, Muskie. You are considered to be one of the pioneers of a certain strategy involving an unplayed or relatively unplayed spec. So, what is your strategy for the Guardian? Like, what were you thinking when you conceived of the idea of playing Guardian Druid in pre-mids?
Well, initially when the thought came out, it just evolved basically from opening mid as a Resto Druid, at like before people stopped playing Rogue. So the Rogue and the Resto Druid would open together in mid and try and like kill a healer very quickly. And it kind of went from there, and we were trying to like mess around with different specs and stuff like that, and just try and figure things out. And when looking up the way that Ferocious Bite scaled, it obviously did a lot more with Landslide, just based off the way that it scales with AP as opposed to agility and stuff like that. So just messing around with different things and then realizing certain rules in the previous Twin Cup that hadn't changed. So for example, you could run, like Guardian Druid didn't count as a stealth class, so you could run Guardian Druid Rogue and a Boomy on the same team, so you could have 3 stealths. There were things like Landslide wasn't banned at the time, landslide stacking, and I could get 4 landslides on a Guardian Druid up at the same time pretty easily. Also, I was at a point where I was starting my own team after leaving Ping, and I really wanted to be able to be in midfield and help my team know, well, just try and help our mid get better. It wasn't me to be the target calling or anything like that. Just try and help us have an advantage in mid. And we were also playing with a mage, so we wanted to go all in on kind of mid and see what would happen. And a few things got nerfed. For example, I wasn't allowed to use landslide, like more than one landslide. So that got nerfed. But I also, the more that I played it, the more comfortable I got with it. And I started to, I always would make the joke that I like was an ascended guardian, because I got to a point where I was like, holy shit, like I just learned like 3 things this one game that I can now do. And I do not see any other guardians do it. For example, when HB is playing guardian, there are certain things that I'm doing like that my focus is the entire time that I'm playing mid that HB never does. And I think it's a super underexplored spec in terms of, like, I'm not the best mechanical player. I know that it could be played way to a higher level, but it also leaves serious weaknesses in the comp. For example, if you're going to run 3 healers with it, you're going to have to run, if you want to run double hunter, you have to run 3 healers, or if you want to run the rogue, you have to run 3 healers, or you're not running a resto druid. Like, it's got its ups and downs, but if you can get them into GY, a guardian druid is essentially 2 to 3 classes at holding somebody in GY. You can hold a GY of like 6 people with a guardian, a warrior, and 2 healers. It's actually insane.
So
And when they're pushing out, you can get landslide procs pretty much all the time as well, which is even better.
So I guess I didn't really know this. So the Guardian Druid kind of plays a dynamic role as kind of like an AOE damage dealer, but it also sounds like you're using a Guardian Druid to kind of circumvent the feral ban for those ferocious bites.
Yeah, pretty much. I can actually. I may or may not play Guardian. I actually don't know in the Twin Cup, but just because I'm probably not going to get any other chance to talk about this, I legitimately one-shot BMs. I actually one-shot them. If I have a rend on them, the rend counts as a bleed, and I get 50% increased crit chance from the ferocious bite talent or whatever, and I'm sitting at like 30% crit with just my essentially the same gear that a BM would use, and I bite people for 2,500. Just like I bite BMs for about 2,500. It's pretty good. And that's just the bite, and then I go into bear form and mangle maul them.
Do you feel like you take a ton of damage due to being that tank role and taking the extra damage, or do you feel like it's just as tanky as like a warrior?
You definitely do, but people put like it's better against obviously melee because you have the armor and you have the dodge and you almost always have enough rage to pop it, but your other frontline takes a lot less damage because they're constantly tunneling into you, and I have a lot more health and my team knows they're going to focus me, and I'm also playing out of the AoE situation a lot to try and get those points all the time. It's kind of like that's the one thing that I don't see HB doing is that he's never going cat form and getting points, and like you can reduce a lot of damage if you're pulling back and going cat form. And I do a lot of the same things that I do on my Guardian as my FC, like same kind of thing, trying to get points like in a team fight and like 5-biting something just as an FC, because it's like people aren't doing it for no reason. Even if you get a rend on you, even if they swap on you, you always have Displacer. It's about like poking in and out the same way that a mage or something would, and you just gotta be smart about it.
Yeah. So looking ahead tomorrow, your team is pretty well practiced. I think you have a lot of experience playing blood maids. You certainly have a lot of pre-made experience. I'd argue probably more than most teams in this tournament, just because of how much you and a few others have been blood mating and pre-mating over the next few months. But looking ahead for tomorrow, certainly I think a lot of teams are motivated to try to take down skill ratio. Is that something that motivates your team to try to steal this title, steal the hat trick from skill ratio?
It is definitely part of the goal, and more so for certain people on my team than others. But at the end of the day, like I'm looking to win the entire tournament. I'm not looking to beat skill ratio. And what I mean by that is I feel like I have a better chance against skill ratio than I do, for example, against GSC. Because I think that the weaknesses of skill ratio fall into the strengths of my team, whereas the strengths of GSC punish the weaknesses of my team. If that makes sense. So I'm definitely looking at taking down skill ratio. In fact, I actually kind of named my team as part of playing into that kind of little, I guess, preventing the hat trick. Ozymandias is about no kings will last forever, or no kingdom will last forever, basically. And the like ultimate victor is time, and time will always, come out on top. No kingdom can rule forever, so I thought it'd be, kind of cheeky as skill ratio won't last forever. So if it's me or if it's someone else, who knows?
That's pretty personal, but yeah, I like that. I like that name.
Yeah, I actually had no idea that's what the name meant. That's pretty awesome. So do you think that, like, in terms of who do you think's going to win this tournament, do you think, like, you have the best chance, or you said you're scared of GSC, do you think if it's you two in the finals, like, you might have trouble against them? Like, who do you think's going to win? Who do you think's a dark horse? Give us
So, I think a lot of people have said that, like, the skill differential this year is a lot bigger than it was last year, as in, like, for example, JCM, you could count Waka. I would put Ping above Waka. What other teams were there? GSC, Harvest, skill ratio. Like, all those teams were, like, really good and could all win. They say that GSC is further. I was looking at Fancy's interview. He says that the skill differential is bigger than it was last year. But I also think that the skill level is actually a lot higher this year than it was last year, which means that the games will be played at a higher level of like decision making. So I think that if there's teams that are able to really just sorry, I lost my train of thought. But basically, I think that when it comes down to the actual games, that nobody really knows what everyone else is doing. And since everyone has gotten so good at this meta and had so much time to practice at this meta, and the meta from last year hasn't really changed, there's not been a whole lot of rule changes. It's just been constantly evolving. I think that if people are thrown into a situation where they need to adapt their normal strategy, for example, if somebody runs one druid instead of double druid and they run no FC, which we saw GSC do weeks ago, I think in like Pleb Maids on stream, stuff like that, where they have to adapt or force the other team to adapt in the moment, real understanding of Warsong Gulch at the highest level will then be the number one thing that decides the game, I think. And that's actually where I respect skill ratio more than GSC, because I think Pizza is just got that shit down on lock. I think skill ratio's leadership is the best, and I think that in a perfect world, my team would be second best, but in reality, probably GSC. So I think that it's all going to come down to leaders and which team is able to play the best as in a macro sense.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, this tournament, I said this in the arena tournament, but this tournament is being played the exact same expansion as the previous Twink Cup, but we've seen some balance changes, a few balance changes. We've obviously seen an evolution of the 19 meta, which was partially driven by Double Boomkin, which eventually got banned, but now we're in this other meta, no rogues, pretty mid-heavy. What do you think about this evolution of the 19 Twink meta? Is it something you like or something you don't like? Did you like the rogue comps? What do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that the people that do explore comps are not exploring comps in war games because they either want to practice something, which is my case. For example, even if I'm playing against a 3 healer, I'm just going to keep throwing my team into mid over and over and over and over and over again because I want to have my team work on mid and improve on mid, because that's obviously such a huge part of the game. But when somebody is running a 3 heal with a mage or a 3 heal with 1 druid and no resto druid or something like that, like resorting back to a rogue is, I don't think it's a set meta. I think it's too stale right now. I think that it's way more dynamic than people realize, and potentially it could come out during the Twink Cup. I know Phobia plays a rogue. We'll see. I'm just saying. But I just think that the meta is a lot deeper than people understand or realize or give credit to or whatever. And I think that mid is the easiest way to play and the most consistent way to play, because if you win mid, you have such a big advantage with. You have so much room to play with. But it's not to say that, for example, if people go too heavily into mid, for example, you're on Guardian, it can be punished. And by bringing back those old classes and flavors from the old meta, it can definitely be exploited. And it kind of falls into the double boomy thing too. It's the same. It's so easy to play double boomy in mid. You don't have to worry about, it's just easy. You get control in mid and then you just send your hunters back, right? Whereas with a rogue, it's a lot more dynamic, but it sucks in mid and it makes mid harder. But you can play the game without winning mid, as obviously Starda has done a lot in the past as well.
Yeah, I definitely think, like you were saying before, how skill ratio has this above average knowledge of Warsong Gulch that they might be able to pressure the newer teams a little bit, because the newer teams practice mid, right? But they don't practice these weird strategies that some more experienced teams, like your team with a lot of experience and GSC having experienced players and skill ratio, they know how to play things other than mid, and that could be a strategy that we do see in the Twink Cup. So I definitely agree with you there.
I just think Pizza's got so much damn experience. He's seen everything, and he also leads his team, I assume, with an iron fist. So it's 10 people following a bad call is better than 5 people following the right call.
Yeah, it's more of a dictatorship than a democracy. Some
Yeah,
people
so
would
it's like
say.
it's a double advantage, I guess there.
Oh, I've faced the anger of Pizza when I when I disagreed with one of his strats. I kind of did
Real
my own
talk,
thing. I
Ted.
did.
I just wanna go on top of that. I swear, like halfway through this, like I don't know, last month or maybe even a little bit earlier than that, I've had a lot of trouble getting my whole team on because a lot of people are European, a lot of people work late, a lot of us want to play together but have trouble. Like for example, one of the guys on my team had a wedding this weekend, so he couldn't play, so I had to stop playing with him, stuff like that. If I was to make a team again from scratch, or if I was gonna coach, which is actually what I prefer to do. Obviously, it's Twinks and you want to play and everything like that. But if Twinks was an esport, I would coach, and I would get a team that would literally just all treat me and respect me and just like let me like manipulate them around the map the same way that Pizza has his team go down. Because I think that is such an effective way to play, especially if somebody is good enough at micromanaging and understands the way Warsong Gulch can and will be played. And I think HB is the only person to be a fantastic coach like that.
Yeah. Definitely. You could see, like, I mean, Pizza himself has said that, he's not the number one mechanical boomkin, but in my opinion and in many others, he is the best leader of Warsong. So that's definitely good. And I mean, your team, as from what I've heard, like you guys are all like good friends, right? So that's a huge strength too, I think, in Warsong. Like just knowing each other as people and players, like can play a huge part in how strong your team is. Just knowing how to move as a unit together and stuff. So
let me clarify. People thinking that I'm firing shots at my team. It's not that I'm firing shots at my team. It's just when you have 10 people that are plebbing all the time with different people. You've got, half of GSC coming in. You've got skill ratio people coming in. You've got all this different stuff. Everyone has their own opinion, and it always is going to cause like muddiness in like your general strategy, and it just causes too much. It's too much second guessing and things like that. I don't want to say second guessing. That's not the right word. I'm just trying to say like the same thing. 10 people on the wrong call is better than 5 people on the right call. And I think that no other team does that like Pizza, and you have to build around that or have a reputation like Pizza to get that. I think that's just like the nature of personalities. I don't think any team in the entire tournament is like that except for skill ratio. And I don't know if they're actually like that this year. I hope so, because that's been their biggest strength always, but it definitely was the case last year, in my opinion.
So, I mean, you seem to be talking a lot about like leadership. So, how do you see yourself as a leader? Do you think is there room for improvement for you as a leader? Are you? I mean, I'm guessing you're the leader of your team. You're calling most of the shots, but how do you play that leadership role? And what are the things you kind of look to improve in yourself as a leader?
Number one, as a leader, I think improving myself mechanically would be the biggest thing. But that's something that I kind of I just don't learn mechanically. It's really kind of unfortunate. Like I plateau, and I'm like inconsistent when I play and all these different things. But I think as a leader, I've paid a lot of attention to LoL esports and the way that that's developed, and I've also coached a lot of league teams in the past and worked as like an analyst and things like that. I just being able to shot call effectively, no matter what, always have every angle covered, always have everyone on your team knowing what you're thinking, and all these kinds of things. Like just essentially, I would want to have it treated the same way as a league in practices, by like just fucking running scrims over and over and over again and forcing perspectives at like different strategies, like what you want to practice today and things like that. Being able to be a leader at that level and being like more so than just calling strategies and stuff like that, being a leader on the level of something like, who's a good example? It's hard to, let me think for a second. Somebody who just like commands respect at a level just because, like the way that GSC feels about Dan, like everyone just worships Dan. Like being able to be somebody who is worthy of that is basically what my goal would be as a leader. It's just to be perfect enough that my team would have that kind of faith. You know what I mean? And it comes, if it's mechanically or calls or whatever, like I'm kind of being obscure, but it's an obscure kind of thing. It all comes like these kind of things are not just Twinks. These are just not esports. This is any sport. This is any like a team leader and a coach are very similar in the way that you gotta it. No matter what it is, having one direction, having people be team players and have people being role players and having your star players and just finding the formula. That's the kind of thing. It's just finding the right formula is what I'm trying to improve at, I guess.
All right,
Yeah,
Fabio, do you have any follow-up?
I was just kind of, I definitely agree with what he's saying. Like, it's better to have a leader that's a friend than like a leader that's an enemy. Yeah, I think Dan does a good job with that, like you were saying. But like I said, from what I've heard, obviously I don't know your team very well, Muskie, but it sounds like you guys are all close. So I don't really think you're that far off of that. I mean, they all respect you.
No, I don't think
you
we're
guys.
that far either. I think it's just like a big problem that is really frustrating this year is having all these like time constraints and stuff from Europeans and other things. It just really hurts the development. Because I'm kind of like I just look at it. I feel like a little bit of a different way than a lot of people because of my experience in other games. And I apologize for being so obscure, but like it's just turned more into like a fucking weird podcast than an interview.
Philosophical conversation.
A little bit, yeah.
All good. Yeah.
All right. Well, I got a cliche question. So going into tomorrow, going into Sunday, who is your prediction for the grand finals, and who is going to win that game?
So the way that it breaks down is it's going to be the group stage. So every team plays every team, and then the top one team, the team that's like won the most games, moves on to the finals, and then the bottom, the second and third place team of the group stage, I think it's like a best of 5, and then they go to play the finals. So I think that GSC will win the most games. I don't think they'll lose a single game, and they'll make it to the finals. They'll be like the first seed technically. So GSC Justice will be the first seed. I don't think they'll lose a single game. And then I think it'll be skill ratio and either my team or starter as the third place team to fight skill ratio. If it's starter, I think it'll go all the way to game 5, and skill ratio will win. And if that's the case, then I think skill ratio will take it like, what is it? I guess like 4-3 in the finals. I think skill ratio would win over GSC in the finals. If it's my team playing against it, and I think my team, if everything goes perfect, and I just gotta, that's the only way I can think about it. I think we would win, and then we'd lose to GSC in the finals.
It's kind of interesting, because the format's obviously changed quite a bit. But last year, this is the feeling that was shared by a lot of members of SR, but coming down through the losers bracket was actually like a massive advantage, just for our team. And you get this, like, we knew, like, I don't speak for my entire team, but I felt like we had, like, once we had defeated GSC in the semifinals, we were gonna win the Twin Cup. There's no way we could lose at that point. Now it's
so much pressure on the line that a leader has prepared for. Pizza, like, it's in Pizza's element to be in that situation. I don't think it's in GSC's element to be in that situation.
Yeah.
Especially when the entire team is so motivated coming through the losers bracket.
It's like it's Smash Bros, man. Like Pizza's that mango losers bracket run.
Yeah, losers bracket buck, man. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think being in the upper bracket going into the finals, I think teams just get a bit complacent, a bit nervous. But when you're coming down from losers, you just have all this motivation, all this like drive to kind of prove that the bracket was wrong, that the bracket didn't reflect what was true, of the skill level of each teams and the prowess of each teams. So yeah, the format is a bit goofy this year, but I guess it is what it is because the two teams dropped out.
You do get to play against every team as well. Mm-hmm. There is no you get to play every team. The viewers get to see every team play every team. Each team doesn't feel like they maybe would have had a better chance against team A or team B. If that just they get a chance to play everybody. So I dig it.
Phoebe, do you have any follow-up questions or any final questions?
No, I think we got a pretty good idea at how you lead your team and how you look at it going into this Twin Cup, and I really look forward to it. I think it's going to be an awesome tournament.
Do you have any final comments, Muskie? Anything you'd like to talk about before ending this?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to literally every single person who has played with my team in the past and is no longer with us. So like the twinks that have like fell by the wayside, Zalo, Jello, I'll even count Bone in there. Got Hero and just Hero. There's a bunch of twinks that I'm probably forgetting because I'm just kind of doing this on the spot. But I do remember all of you, and rest in peace. I wish you guys could still be on the squad with us because it would, in an ideal world, that would be the case. And everybody that's currently on the team, all have the most heart out of any, like, just the amount of hours they put in, the dedication, the amount of passion they have. Like, it doesn't matter if we get farmed 6 games in a row. Like, we will not rage quit. We'll keep playing. We'll get frustrated, and we'll get frustrated at each other. But we all just want a goddamn win. And yeah, shoutouts to Control Out Sheep all the way back to freaking Wrath of the Lich King. So many homies. Like, I've been pre-mating since Wrath of the Lich King, and all the twinks that have fallen by the wayside. You know what I mean? Like, all you guys. Like, for example, Blackout. I've known Blackout since Wrath of the Lich King. Real Life Tarantino since... I've known Nixer since BC, and we're all just good friends, and we all just want to play, and we all just want to freaking win, man. And each person has their own strengths on the team. I think my strength on the team is to be that kind of leadership role, and I put my heart into it. And, everybody fills their own role. And I think legitimately, if things click on Saturday and on Sunday, if everyone is playing the role and doing everything that they can to win, and we have a good day and communication's perfect and everything like that, I'm pretty sure we can win the goddamn Twin Cup. So
the goddamn Twin Cup.
Shout outs to my boys, man.
All right, well, thank you for spending time with us, Muskie. It was a pleasure, and wish you the best of luck. I'll be watching from the bench, warming that seat with whoever's sitting next to me. I don't know who it is, but probably not going to be playing, but I wish the best of luck to you.
Yeah, hopefully it goes better than Arena. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to take a little quick break, and I think we're going to be interviewing Iggy next, perhaps, or maybe it's Pizza. I'm not exactly sure. But we're going to go into a quick break, so I'm just going to mute the stream for a bit, and thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thank you, boys. Catch you later.